Have you ever met someone who seemed to have everything in the world, yet was completely helpless in a single moment? And have you ever seen an ordinary person, carrying the weight of life on their shoulders, quietly step forward and change someone's life forever? Today's story is about a luxury car worth millions, 300 expert mechanics flying in from 12 different countries, and one exhausted single dad who fixed the problem before any of them even landed. But this isn't really a story about a car. It's a story about kindness, humility, and how one simple act can touch more hearts than money ever could. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. We love hearing from our viewers, and your support helps us share more inspiring stories like this one. The morning started like any other for Ethan Brooks. At 38 years old, Ethan worked long hours as a local mechanic in a small town. Life had not been easy for him. 5 years earlier, his wife had passed away after a long illness, leaving him to raise their 8-year-old daughter, Lily, on his own. Every day followed the same routine. Wake up early. Make breakfast. Take Lily to school. Work at the garage. Pick Lily up. Help with homework. Make dinner. Then do it all again the next day. Money was often tight, but Ethan rarely complained. He believed that kindness was more important than comfort. Whenever someone was stranded on the roadside, he stopped to help. Whenever an elderly customer couldn't afford repairs, he found a way to lower the bill. His friends often told him he was too generous. Ethan always smiled and said the same thing. One day, somebody might need kindness more than I need money. On that particular afternoon, Ethan was closing the garage early to attend Lily's school concert. As he locked the door, his phone rang. A nervous voice spoke on the other end. "Mr. Brooks? This is Officer Martin. We have a situation outside town. A woman is stranded with a Bugatti. She refuses to have the vehicle towed. Nobody seems able to help her." Ethan looked at his watch. He had less than 3 hours before Lily's performance. "I can take a quick look," he said. 20 minutes later, he arrived at a large private estate. Several security vehicles surrounded an elegant silver Bugatti parked near the entrance. Standing beside it was a young woman in a red suit. She looked frustrated and exhausted. Ethan could immediately tell she wasn't used to hearing the word no. As he approached, one of the security guards stepped forward. "Who are you?" "Ethan Brooks. Local mechanic." The guard looked doubtful. The woman overheard and walked toward him. "You came to help?" "I'll try." She sighed heavily. "I've already spoken to specialists around the world. Nobody knows what's wrong." Ethan nodded politely. "What's your name?" "Victoria Hale." The name sounded familiar. Victoria Hale was a successful technology entrepreneur whose company was worth billions. Her face appeared regularly in magazines and news interviews. Yet at that moment, she simply looked like someone having a very bad day. Victoria explained that the Bugatti had suddenly stopped responding while she was driving. The vehicle displayed multiple warning messages. Several experts had been contacted. The manufacturer was so concerned that teams of specialists from multiple countries were already preparing to fly in. According to Victoria's assistant, nearly 300 mechanics, engineers, and technicians would soon be traveling from around the world to inspect the car. Ethan listened quietly. Then he asked a simple question. "Can I open the hood?" Victoria blinked. "That's it? That's usually where I start." For the next 20 minutes, Ethan carefully inspected the vehicle. He checked connections. He examined cables. He listened to unusual sounds. Then he noticed something. A tiny sensor wire near the battery compartment had become loose. The issue was small. Very small. But it was causing the vehicle's computer system to believe several major systems had failed. Ethan smiled. "I think I found it." Victoria looked surprised. "Already?" A few minutes later, Ethan secured the connection. He restarted the system. The warning messages disappeared. The engine purred smoothly. Silence filled the air. Victoria stared at the dashboard. Then at Ethan. Then back at the dashboard. No way. She turned the ignition off and on again. Everything worked perfectly. The security guards looked shocked. The assistant looked shocked. Even Ethan seemed surprised by how simple the solution had been. Victoria laughed for the first time all day. A genuine laugh. Not the polite kind people use during business meetings. The kind that comes from pure relief. You just fixed what hundreds of experts were preparing to investigate. Ethan shrugged. Sometimes little problems were expensive clothes. Victoria laughed again. Then she asked how much she owed him. Ethan glanced at his watch. I honestly don't know. I wasn't expecting this job. She pulled out her phone. I'll transfer $50,000. Ethan almost choked. No. Victoria looked confused. No? The repair took less than half an hour. That doesn't matter. It does to me. She stared at him. Most people spent their lives trying to get closer to wealth. This mechanic was stepping away from it. Finally, Ethan named a reasonable amount. An amount any ordinary mechanic might charge. Victoria paid it. But she couldn't stop thinking about him. As Ethan prepared to leave, she noticed a photo sticking out of his toolbox. A smiling little girl. Your daughter? His face brightened instantly. Lily. Victoria smiled. She's beautiful. I need to hurry. Her school concert starts soon. Without another word, Ethan climbed into his old truck and drove away. Victoria watched until he disappeared. Something about the encounter stayed with her. Over the following weeks, she found herself thinking about Ethan again and again. Not because he fixed her car. Not because he saved her company from an embarrassing situation. But because he treated her like a normal person. He never asked for favors. Never asked for money. Never mentioned her fame. He simply helped because someone needed help. 1 month later, Victoria quietly visited Ethan's garage. She arrived without security. Without cameras. Without reporters. She found Ethan helping an elderly customer. The man looked worried. His repair bill was more than he could afford. Victoria watched from a distance as Ethan reduced the price. The customer's eyes filled with tears. After the man left, Victoria walked inside. You do that often? Ethan looked up. Do what? Help people when they can't pay. He smiled. Sometimes people need a break. Victoria looked around the modest garage. Old equipment. Worn tools. Cracked paint on the walls. Nothing fancy. Nothing luxurious. Yet the place felt warm. It felt alive. Over coffee, Ethan told her about Lily. He told her about losing his wife. He told her about struggling to keep the business open during difficult years. He never spoke with bitterness. Only gratitude. Victoria left that day deeply moved. For years she had built companies, negotiated deals, and chased success. But sitting inside that little garage had reminded her of something she had forgotten. Success means very little if it isn't used to help others. A few weeks later, Ethan received a mysterious invitation. Someone wanted him and Lily to attend a community event downtown. Neither of them knew what to expect. When they arrived, hundreds of people filled the town square. A stage stood in the center. Victoria stepped onto the platform. The crowd applauded. Ethan looked confused. Then Victoria began speaking. She told everyone about the day her Bugatti broke down. She described the teams of specialists preparing to fly across the world. She described the mechanic who solved the problem in minutes. But then she shared something more important. She spoke about Ethan's kindness. His honesty. his generosity, his dedication to his daughter. The crowd listened silently. Many wiped away tears. Then Victoria revealed her surprise. Over the previous month, she had worked with local businesses and community leaders. Together they had raised funds to renovate Ethan's garage. New equipment, safer tools, training opportunities, scholarship programs for young mechanics. Everything had already been arranged. Ethan stood frozen. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Then Victoria turned toward Lily. And there's one more thing. A screen behind the stage lit up. Photos appeared. Pictures of Lily studying, drawing, building little machines from spare parts. Victoria smiled. We've established an education fund that will support Lily's dreams, whatever they may be. Lily burst into tears. Ethan wrapped his arms around her. For several moments, neither of them could speak. The crowd erupted into applause. But the most beautiful moment came afterward. Ethan walked onto the stage and hugged Victoria. Not as a wealthy entrepreneur. Not as a famous public figure. Simply as one human being thanking another. Months later, the renovated garage became more than a business. It became a place where people helped each other. Young students learned valuable skills. Families received affordable repairs. Struggling neighbors found support. And every year, Ethan and Victoria organized community events focused on kindness and service. People often asked Victoria why she invested so much in one mechanic. Her answer never changed. Because he reminded me what truly matters. As for Ethan, he continued living much the same way as before. He still helped stranded drivers. Still reduced bills when families struggled. Still put Lily first. The difference was that now his kindness inspired thousands of others to do the same. And perhaps that's the most powerful thing about kindness. It doesn't stop with one person. It spreads. A small act becomes a larger one. A helping hand becomes a chain of compassion. One good deed can travel farther than any airplane, reach more people than any business empire, and leave a mark that lasts for generations. The day Ethan fixed Victoria's Bugatti, he thought he was repairing a car. What he really repaired was something much more valuable. He reminded a successful woman of the importance of human connection. He inspired a community to care for one another. And he showed a young girl that character matters more than wealth. So the next time you have an opportunity to help someone, don't underestimate the impact of a simple act of kindness. You may never know where that kindness will lead. You may never see all the lives it touches. But somewhere, someday, your compassion could become the reason another person believes in goodness again. And sometimes, that's worth far more than the most expensive car in the world.